Hi everybody, Emily, it's a wonderful wig. I'm going to do a wig chat with you today on a topic I've been thinking a lot about, something that's actually happened to me. I just did a review, by the way, of two red wigs that I had chosen in comparison with this one to wear with my outfit for the day. I'll link those below, and now I'm doing the wig chat. This is one of the ones I reviewed in the past. This is Girl Mono by Ellen Villa. Well, these are not the ones I reviewed, but this is the one I was wearing when I started my reviews. So anyway, two new red wigs, one by Epic, one by Gabor Luxury. Check those out, reviews. So I want to talk today about the concept of buyer's remorse when it comes to buying wigs. How many of you have experienced this? Raise your hand. So let's talk a little bit about buyer's remorse, and I guess I don't need my glasses. What is it, and how do you avoid it, and what causes it? And so buyer's remorse, I mean, obviously we know the concept of what it means, right? Buyer's remorse. One way I like to look at buyer's remorse is, as an example, is shopping for the holidays. How many of you feel like you buy way more than you meant for your kids or yourself or friends or family for the holidays because you always feel like it wasn't quite enough, or they might get you more than you got them? And so then, you know, after the holidays are over, you suddenly realize how much you spent or what a big ding on your bank account there is. And then on top of that, also the concept of seeing that like maybe a lot of places put stuff up for sale on Black Friday, so you buy a ton of stuff, and then later in January, February, you see it's really the same price, so the whole sale was kind of like an act. You know, there's that kind of thing. Sometimes we get buyer's remorse when we buy things for ourselves, like wigs, for example. A great example was I always wanted a pair of Jimmy Choo shoes, boots to be example, and they cost a fortune. And I always had this like glamorous idea of what they would be like to own and have, and these bright red boots, and I had it like held up in a standard in my mind for the longest time. And one day I was out and about, we were traveling, we were in New York. I saw the boots, they were on a super sale. I had budgeted like a lot of money. I'm not even telling you how much I spent because it was so painful I don't even remember, but it was like stupidly expensive. But they were on a great sale, like 30% off, which was way cheaper than I'd ever thought they should be. And I impulse buy it, and I bought them, brought them home, because I tried to wear them around there on the trip, and they made my feet hurt like like no way can you walk all around New York City with these boots on. I mean, come on, if you've ever been in New York City, you know, you're lucky you did not have your feet ache wearing athletic shoes after 4 hours of walking on cement. But I brought them home in Pacific Northwest here, and I wore them eventually a couple times, and they never broke in, and they were the most uncomfortable, painful shoes ever. And there came a point when I had serious regret because I had idolized and fantasized the concept of something, you know, flashy, the shiny object syndrome, I like to call it. The emotional appeal of the look of the item and the feel of owning them was way more enticing and becoming alive and vivid in my head than the reality. And the reality is I would never really use them. So yeah, buyer's remorse settled in. So now they're like a cool looking display item on my bookshelf. I'm sorry, on my desk. Maybe I'll sell them. I don't know. But like now I know I'll never get the same amount of money I spent on them. So I don't know. But anyway, buyer's remorse is a feeling of usually regret, guilt, disappointment, or embarrassment. Regret is the one we most commonly associate with that. Disappointment, meaning you're disappointed in yourself because you said you weren't going to spend the money and you did. You know, embarrassment if other people find out what you've spent. Like if other people know that I have purchased like 60, 80 wigs in less than a year. Obviously I don't need those. I still even have hair. I don't want people to know that. There's embarrassment, and if they find out, which, you know, then you feel embarrassed because you feel like you have to explain it, and they think there's something wrong with you. And of course there's the guilt because, oh, I should have spent the money on bills. I should have spent the money on my kids. Oh, now the economy is going in the crapper, so now if I had not spent that, I would have more money for blah, 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 the groceries and the gas, which is atrocious at the moment. So all of these emotions are part of buyer's remorse. And when does buyer's remorse kick in? you know, it's different for everybody, but when it comes to buying wigs, I have found I have never had buyer's remorse until way later. Like, I've purchased, I think the most I ever bought at once from wigs.com it was probably 14, maybe 14 at once. Of course, I try them all on. I send back the ones I don't like or they don't fit, and then I maybe narrow it down to like 8 or 9, maybe, you know, it just depends. And I've never felt remorse because I love them all and they look so good and it feels so great to have this fantastic hair, and like it's your dream hair, and your whole life you've had just the shaft when it comes to hair, like, and now you've got all kinds of adorable and cute and beautiful hair, and it just makes you feel so great, and it's so exciting, and you're saving all this money on the salon, and you can change your look and you feel younger, and there's all these great emotions that come with buying wigs and having these wigs. So I don't ever feel the buyer's remorse then. You know, I might wear them a few times. Sometimes, like that one I reviewed earlier by Gabor Luxury, the red, it still has the tags on. I must have bought that 6 months ago, and it's still in the box. I had never worn it since trying it on, and now I'm going to sell it because I realized, I guess I really didn't like it. I liked it at the time, but since I haven't gravitated toward it, I haven't chosen it, I haven't worn it, that now that I look back on it, I realize, I guess I didn't like that one as much, or the color as much, or actually, that one I didn't like, the show was too straight. So for me, the buyer's remorse sets in later, maybe months later, maybe when I kind of start getting lazy about my wigs and just go back to my silly mom bun, gray mom bun, my real hair I put on my head, or when I realize I'm not using my wigs as much, or when I realize I'm at home every day, like I really didn't need all these wigs, and I go into my room and I see 5 giant bins full of wigs, and I say, oh, you know, that's a lot of wigs, and then I feel the remorse later. Or sometimes, you know, I've put a few items on Affirm, which you can do on wigs.com, and it might be paying them months and months later, and then you realize you're not really wearing them, and now you might have a little regret because now you have this $800 a month payment or whatever, however much it is, and you realize, I'm not even really wearing these wigs. So yeah, but some people have impulse buys. If you do impulse buys, you might have the buyer's remorse as soon as they arrive in the mail, and you realize, oh my gosh, there's too many wigs, I shouldn't have done that. Someone keeps texting me. You might have the remorse as soon as the package arrives, because there's a delay between ordering, then packaging, shipping, and receiving. It could be 10 days, it could take 2 weeks to get it, and by then, you know, if you impulse purchased or got a little overzealous with your shopping, and by the time you get it, reality sets in, that emotional impulse is gone, and now you're stuck with, do I want to keep it or not keep it, and oh, did I spend too much, did I not spend too much? So some people, it's maybe, you know, when they receive the item. Other people, it's as soon as the purchase goes through. I don't think ever, okay, I think once I bought, I think one time on QVC, I bought a $400 handbag by Patricia Nash, and I love Patricia Nash. I have a bunch of her handbags, but this was for her Discovery luxury line, the best premium leather. It was $400, and oh, I wanted it so bad, and then I bought it, and then I freaked out after I bought it, I think within like 3 or 4 hours, and I went and canceled the order because I'm like, I don't know, I don't need a $400 handbag. I have like 30 handbags. But that was the only time I ever regretted my purchase right after, and I wasn't really regret because I really wanted the bag. It was more like fear. I think buyer's remorse is associated with fear. I think you can get fear that a luxury purchase, you know, what plus when you get it, you only have a 30-day window to return it. Like, you're afraid, what if I need that money for something else down the road? Even if I have it now, what if I got laid off from my job? Or, you know, like with me, I have these 2 15-year-old cats, and I remember once I spent like $1,300–1,400 on new clothes, a whole new wardrobe because my size had changed. And then my cat, like, had crises. She's 15, and I think $3,500 later and 48 hours later, and she was in the hospital. It was just like, gosh, you know. So I'm sorry, I have to look at this because my son is obsessively texting me. It must be some kind of a crisis, and I can't pause the video, so bear with me. Oh, he's sending me what he wants for his birthday, his links. He's 32 years old, really? He's supposed to be at work, and he's sending me the stuff he wants for his birthday. So buyer's remorse is rooted in belief. our beliefs about money, our beliefs about our worth, you know, what we believe we're worth. There are so many people that would never spend $300 or $400 on a wig, $300 or $400 on a handbag, even if they have plenty of money, because they feel like it's a luxury, it's too excessive. I love it, but it's too plain or simple for me, or I don't live in the right place to have something so nice. There's, you know, values, our money stories of how we were raised by our parents, how our parents spent money, how our family spent money, the kind of economic, you know, situation we came from. It doesn't, you know, you may have plenty of money now, but you still have that mentality of, you know, you have to hoard all your money for retirement, or you need to still use coupons even though you don't, or buying things you don't really need are luxuries. You know, there are some people that if they have the money, they'll just spend it. Just spend it, spend it, spend it, spend it. And that's like my son. Good luck on that. We'll see what happens when he gets to retirement. But, you know, there are others who won't spend any, like my parents-in-law, ex-parents-in-law. They're in their 70s, you know, sadly, one of is almost 80. His health is declining really rapidly. You know, they have millions of dollars in the bank, and they live in, like, I'm not kidding, they live in, like, a $300 house in kind of a dumpy area, old area, in a 1970s house. They literally will not spend more than $50 on any of us for any holiday. And like my ex-mother-in-law is a vegetarian, but she won't buy organic produce because it's too expensive. It's like 20 cents more for like a peach or something that's organic. It's so hilarious. But they hoard and hoard and hoard all their money for security, for retirement, but they don't use it. They're living on their they're now living on their pensions and Social Security. They have all this money from investments they had made, and they don't use it, which, you know, I mean, sadly, I'm not married to that person anymore, so otherwise we would have inherited, he'll inherit all that money, but otherwise, you know, you just pass it on down to your kids. But I'm telling you, that's how they were both raised. They were both raised upriver and on farm territory with parents who, you know, they produced their own food and they saved all their money and they didn't spend money and everything was a luxury and that you don't need. And that money story will stick with you your whole life. And so you have to reevaluate your money story. And in fact, that's one thing that my ex had done is, and he had made a high six-figure salary, and we had to live in this, the dumpiest, frumpiest, ugliest house in the state of the universe practically the whole time we were married. And every single dime went into his hoarding and his 401k. And by the time he was, I don't know, only like 49 to 51. He already had like $1.5 million in freaking 401k. Who has that? I mean, and I'm thinking, and then you know, we're not with the person anymore. Most of that money he had acquired, you know, before we were together. So, anyway, it didn't do me a lot of good. But I'm just saying, like, think like there is a balance between hoarding all your money through living out your old money story of how you were raised and being economical and smart, but also living a little, enjoying life a little, treating yourself, splurging, knowing your worth, knowing your value, having experiences. I mean, come on, we're only on this planet once that we know of. We only have one life to live. This is it. We were put on this planet, obviously, for our purpose, but also to enjoy what's available to us. And if you have the ability, I'm not saying go into debt and blow it all and then come to retirement and then be in a bad pickle, but I'm saying save extra every month, every year for travel, for buying nice clothes or wigs or jewelry, and enjoy it. You know, so I encourage you, if you have buyer's remorse, often, even when you have the money and money's not an issue, I would really encourage you to reevaluate your money story. Meaning look back on your childhood of origin, look back on your early days in your 20s when you're on your own, look back to your first marriage, look at your money stories that you've brought into your current reality and see how you're living it out, and ask yourself, does that money story still serve me right now? Am I open to changing creating a new money story for myself. And ask yourself, what are my beliefs about money? Get a note, get a journal. What are my beliefs about money? What do I believe? I believe buying anything I don't need is a luxury. I believe that all my money needs to be saved for 401k. I believe that, you know, whatever, and write them all out and go look back on it. Does it really say, I believe I'm worth spending money on myself? I believe I can buy 20 wigs or 30 wigs if I want. I believe I can buy a $400 handbag. I'll bet you it doesn't say that. So go back and look at it and see where you can wiggle around your money beliefs. But anyway, I'm just saying this because buyer's remorse, one of the solutions for managing buyer remorse is reevaluating your beliefs about money, looking at your sense of self-worth, your self-esteem, your sense of value, and understanding and knowing that you're worth it. But I guess what I'm saying is one of the solutions for buyer's remorse is reevaluating your beliefs, choosing new beliefs, reevaluating your money story, rewriting your money story. Another possibility is setting a budget every month so you don't have buyer's remorse. Okay, I want to get 2 new wigs a month instead of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Or I'm going to get 1 new wig a month or whatever, and I'm going to spend, I get $300 a month I can spend on wigs or fashion or whatever, and then do whatever you want with it and don't feel bad about it because you've set a limit for yourself, a schedule every month, your fund money to do whatever you want. And of course, another solution for buyer's remorse is reselling the item. Okay, like for me, buyer's remorse kicks in later. I have way more wigs than I need. And sure, sometimes there have been other instances where now I have this huge $3,000 root canal and crown I need to get, and I wish I had had more of my savings and spent so much on wigs. So you know what I do? I'll just go on and sell a bunch of my wigs, especially the ones that I'll still have the tags I haven't even worn or whatever. You can buy more down the road. I mean, there's always new wigs. There's always something new. So reselling is a solution for that. So I just wanted to say that when it comes to buying wigs, I think if you're an experienced wig wearer and buyer, you know what you like. It's different than early on when you're just buying all these different blondes and reds and auburns and blacks and platinums and white, and because you're exploring, you're evolving your identity. That's what happened to me. Like when I discovered wigs and realized I can be blonde or red or black without having to do all this money and chemicals and visits to the salon and have all these hair styles I've always dreamed about, whether it's super short and curly or long and straight and beautiful. Like it's not only addicting, it's fulfilling. You know, it feels great. It's exciting. It was kind of like, for me, it was like discovering more about who else I can be at midlife, you know, and going with it, and just let the process happen and don't feel bad about it. If you have to buy 10 wigs at once, make sure it's a place where you can return them well and easily. Just leave the tags on, don't put any products in it, and explore, you know, if you have to. I generally don't encourage, you know, do that and return them all. I mean, make sure you plan on keeping some of them for the sake of the retailer. But I'm just saying, like later on when you're more experienced, I think you'll more carefully select what you buy, narrowing down to ones you know you're gonna like, you know you'll use. Whereas early on, the first year, you might just be experimenting and you know, going with all these different things to see how you feel and how they look. So you're more likely to do more returns. You're more likely to have more remorse. But buyer's remorse, again, is just an emotion that comes from, again, regret, guilt, embarrassment, or disappointment in yourself. That all stems back to your money story, your beliefs about money, and your sense and level of self-worth and self-esteem as well. And so, you know, if you're a compulsive shopper and you have a wig addiction, I do have a video where I talked about wig addiction a long time ago. I'll link that below. That's another story. If you have an addiction to buying stuff because of unhappiness, depression, anxiety, loneliness, you're replacing something else like compulsive overeating or drinking with buying wigs, whatever. The eating, yeah, I mean, it happens. But if you have a wig addiction, if you have an addiction where you're just buying, you can't stop, and you're always having remorse with every purchase, that's a whole different issue. That's when you want to look deeper. You want to look at what's driving that? What are you trying to fill by doing that? What are you replacing by doing that? How can you narrow that down at least by half for now? Just narrow it down by half. If you're usually buying 5, 10, 15 wigs a month or whatever you're doing, or putting 15 on credit, narrow it down to half for a while, or narrow it down to 1/4 for a while. You can still fulfill your wig addiction, if you have a wig addiction, with fewer wigs. It's the thrill of the new purchase, the getting to see how you'll look in it, how it'll make you feel. That's where the addiction comes from. And it's fun. It's fun to shop for wigs. It's fun to get them in the mail. It's fun to try them on. But you can still get that with 2 or 3 wigs versus a box of 15 wigs. Is something I learned as the time went on. Okay, everybody, I'm going to cut this chat short. I hope you enjoyed it. Check out my girl model review. Love this wig. I love it so much. I also love Ellen Villa's Bernstein Rooted. It's the closest color to my natural, what my natural brown hair would look like if I put in blonde highlights in the weave. And I have that in Turn, and I think I have it in Onda. Onda is a toffee highlight, which is very similar. Looks almost like the Bernstein Rooted, but those are like all these similar styles of, this is like my favorite kind of wig. And so anyway, check out my red reviews, and thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about buyer's remorse. Leave me a comment. Tell me, you know, if you have any other tips you to share with anyone else, or what you've learned, or what your money story is. I'd love to hear. Thanks. Don't forget to subscribe, and have a great day.